Funny thing about attention, it burns hotter than fire. Everyone wants it, everyone chases it. But when it finally lands on you, when the eyes of the room shift and the whispers start circling, it doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a spotlight that won't turn off. People love to talk, love to point, love to decide who you are before you even open your mouth. They build stories out of fragments, paint pictures with their own insecurities, and suddenly you're not just a person. You're an idea, an obsession, a symbol they can't stop chewing on. So, they call you the chosen one, the hottie everyone whispers about. What's figure their eyes can't help but follow. You see, when you become the center of their conversations, you're no longer just a person. You're a mirror. Every glance they throw at you, every sly comment, every laugh behind closed doors, it's never really about you. It's about them. Their insecurities, their hunger, their obsession with what they can't quite touch, but can't ignore either. You stand there, carrying a crown you didn't ask for, but it's there all the same, invisible yet heavy. And oh, the irony. It glitters brighter in their eyes, the more you pretend you don't even notice it. That's the curse of attention. It follows you, hunts you, chains itself to your shadow. But let me tell you something deliciously strange about it. It's also a crown, a weapon, a force. People die to be noticed. They beg for it, cry for it, starve themselves for just a sliver of it. And here you are, drowning in it without asking. They talk, they watch, they analyze every move you make. Like you're some living puzzle they'll never solve. They can't stop. And that's your leverage. Because while they're busy picking apart who you are, you get to play with who you want to be. You get to change the rules while they're stuck studying old pages of a book that doesn't even exist anymore. Think about it. What does it do to someone when they can't escape your presence, even when you're not around? They'll be at dinner, fork in hand, yet there you are in their thoughts. They'll be walking down the street, pretending to laugh with their friends, yet they're secretly measuring themselves against you. They'll curse your name while secretly wishing to be you. And the beauty of it is, you don't even have to move a finger. That's how much power attention holds. That's how intoxicating it is. But here's the trick. Most people, when they get it, they waste it. They become slaves to the very thing that was supposed to set them apart. They start performing for the whispers, twisting themselves into a shape that pleases the crowd. And that's when the crown turns into a noose. That's when the curse bites back. So here's the choice. You can wear that crown like a burden, dragging your feet under its weight, or you can tilt your head, let it shine in the light, and make them bow to the very image they built in their minds. Because once you realize the crown isn't theirs to give but yours to wield, everything changes. You stop running from the whispers. You stop begging for their approval. You start laughing, because now you see the truth. Their attention was never about you. It was about their emptiness, their desperation, their need to latch onto something brighter than themselves. And let's be honest, Being unforgettable comes with a price. The higher you rise in their stories, the deeper the shadows that follow you. You'll become a target, a fantasy, a threat all at once. But that's exactly what makes it worth it. To be the center of their chaos, the pulse in their silence, the one they can't stop circling like moths around a flame. They'll want to touch, but they'll also fear getting burned, and that fear. That's control. That's power. You see, they can keep whispering, keep staring, keep asking who you really are. But here's the fun part. You don't owe them an answer. You can be everything they imagine, or nothing at all. Because you're not their story. You're not the product of their gossip or their fantasy. You're your own storm, your own flame, your own masterpiece. And once you start owning that, once you start realizing that the crown doesn't control you, you control the gaze, then suddenly all those whispers turn into applause, and all that envy turns into silence that tastes sweeter than anything they ever said. Whispers, ah, those soft little daggers wrapped in silk. People like to think whispers are harmless, like feathers floating in the air, but you and I both know better. Whispers are heavy. They carry more weight than shouts. A scream dies in a moment, but a whisper, it lingers, it multiplies, it festers. And here's the funny part. They whisper about you, not because of who you are, but because of who they are. The words rolling off their tongues reveal the cracks in their walls, the stains in their hearts. They whisper because they can't bear to say it out loud, that they're afraid of you, jealous of you, maybe even secretly longing to be you. Every time they lean in close, lowering their voice so the world won't hear, they're really confessing something. Their envy, their curiosity, their emptiness. But instead of looking in the mirror, they point the finger. You've become their excuse. You've become the shadow they blame for their own lack of light. Isn't that ironic? They think they're tearing you apart. But the truth is, every word is an accidental confession of their own weakness. Every hushed conversation says more about them than it ever will about you. And let me tell you, whispers are addictive. Once they start, they can't stop. One rumor becomes another, then another, until it's a chain they can't break. It's like watching someone choke on smoke from the fire they lit themselves. They can't breathe, but they can't walk away either. They're stuck, enslaved by the very stories they created. That's the nature of whispers. They turn on their masters. And while they're caught up choking, you get to stand back and smile, because none of it touches you unless you let it. You see, when they whisper about you, they hand you a map of their fears. They show you where their insecurities live, where their weak spots hide. They're not exposing you, they're exposing themselves. And if you're clever enough, you don't fight the whispers. You don't run from them. You use them. You let them echo, let them build, let them draw the crowd closer. Because the louder their secrets about you sound in someone else's ear, the more everyone wants to see if it's true. And when they look, what do they see? You, still standing, still breathing, still untouchable. That's when the whispers backfire. But here's the tragedy. Most people, when they hear whispers about themselves, they panic. They chase them down, try to smother them, try to explain themselves into silence. That's weakness. That's surrender. The moment you try to correct the story, you've admitted the story has power over you. But you're smarter than that. You know whispers are only as sharp as the reaction they provoke. Stay calm, stay silent, and suddenly their precious whispers crumble into dust. Because what is a rumor without a reaction? Nothing. Just hot air dissolving into the night. And oh, the sweetest part. When you don't play their game, when you don't dance to their whispers, you become something far more dangerous, unpredictable. They whisper to control you, to shrink you, to pin you down with labels and lies. But when you don't react, when you keep moving like the whispers are nothing but background noise, you drive them insane. They'll whisper louder, faster, more desperately, because silence is their worst enemy. They need you to respond, and when you don't, they're left exposed, like children shouting into a void that never answers back. So let them whisper. Let them poison the air with their own fear. Every word is a confession. Every secret is a mirror. And while they think they're writing your story, they're really writing their own. One filled with envy, with cracks, with the sound of their own voices echoing back at them. They don't even realize it, but the more they whisper, the more they're telling the world exactly who they are. Envy is a clever little actor. It doesn't walk up to you and introduce itself, no. It hides behind claps, behind smiles, behind the word, congratulations. They'll toast to you, they'll shake your hand. They'll look you in the eye and say, I'm happy for you. But underneath those words, their teeth are grinding. Underneath that smile, there's a storm brewing. You can see it if you look closely. The way their eyes linger a little too long. The way their voice cracks just a little when they praise you. That's envy, wearing admiration as a mask. It's the green ghost that follows you into every room, pretending to cheer while secretly waiting for you to fall. You see, envy never likes to show its face. It's a coward like that. It prefers disguises because the truth of it is too ugly for most people to admit. Nobody wants to say, I wish I had your life, your looks, your strength, your presence. Nobody wants to admit they crave what you carry so effortlessly. So they wrap it in compliments. They turn it into advice or concern, or even gossip dressed up as truth. But if you peel away the layers, it's always the same thing. They want what you have, and they hate that they don't have it. And the dangerous part, envy doesn't stay still. It grows. Like a vine wrapping itself tighter and tighter, it begins to choke them from the inside. First, it's a whisper in their head. Why them and not me? Then it becomes a habit comparing, calculating, measuring themselves against you at every step. And then, if you're not careful, it turns into action. That's when they start plotting. That's when their smiles sharpen into knives. They'll dress it up. Of course, pretend it's harmless fun. Pretend it's just competition. But you'll You'll feel it in the way they hover too close, the way they want to know every detail, every move, not because they care, but because they're looking for cracks. But here's the fun part about envy. It's also a confession. If someone envies you, it means you hold something they can't ignore. It means you're ahead of them, above them, shining in a way they can't match. Envy is like a neon sign flashing. You're doing something right. That's why they can't stop watching you. That's why they can't stop talking about you. They'll tell themselves it's hate. But hate is just love that's been twisted by frustration. If they didn't care, they'd ignore you. But they can't, because envy ties them to you like a chain. They're prisoners of the very thing they despise. And here's the choice. You can let envy poison you, or you can let it fuel you. Because envy is contagious, and if you let it, it can crawl into your own skin, make you paranoid, make you bitter, make you doubt yourself. But if you understand it, if you see it for what it really is, then it becomes power. Every envious glance becomes proof of your impact. Every fake smile becomes validation of your presence. You stop fearing envy, and you start feeding off it. You turn their resentment into your reminder that you're on the right path. But don't be naive. Envy doesn't disappear just because you've learned how to use it. It lingers. It festers. Some will try to undermine you, to drag you down to their level, because envy hates being ignored. It wants to be seen, to be acknowledged. And when you rise above it, when you refuse to get tangled in their jealousy, that's when it burns them the most. Because the truth is, envy can't hurt you unless you let it. It only has as much power as you give it. So when you catch that flicker in their eye, that tiny crack in their voice, that shadow in their applause, don't shrink, don't doubt, smile back, because you've just seen the truth behind the mask. And isn't it funny? They think they're hiding it from you, but envy has a way of revealing itself every time. Being unforgettable is a blessing dressed as a curse. You walk into a room and the air shifts. Eyes drag across you like magnets pulled against their will. You don't ask for it, but you feel it. People notice, people remember, and they carry you with them long after you're gone. That's what it means to stand out. And as intoxicating as it sounds, it paints a target on your back the moment it happens. Because people don't like what they can't ignore. They don't like someone who doesn't fade into the wallpaper like everyone else. You become a reminder of everything they're not, and reminders sting. The thing about being unforgettable is that it makes people restless. They'll either idolize you, or they'll despise you, sometimes both at the same time. One day you're their inspiration. The next you're the villain in their little bedtime stories. They'll copy you, mimic your words, your moves, your style, just to feel a fraction of what it's like to be you. And when it doesn't work, when they realize that no matter how much they mirror you, they still fall short, that's when the bitterness sets in. That's when admiration twists into resentment. It's like a game they can't win, and the more they lose, the more they hate the player. But that's the price of being unforgettable. You can't control the way people react to you. You can only control how you respond. Most people will tell you to tone it down, to play smaller, to dim your own light so others don't feel uncomfortable. But why should you? Why should you carry the weight of their insecurities just to make them feel safe? Being unforgettable means you were never meant to be safe. You were meant to rattle cages, shake foundations, force people to look in the mirror and see everything they're missing. It's not about making them comfortable. It's about making them awake. Of course, being unforgettable also means you'll be misunderstood. People will build stories about you, twist your actions into motives you never had, attach labels that don't belong to you. They'll tell themselves lies about who you are, not because they know the truth, but because it's easier for them to believe their own fiction. That's the game. You stop being a person and start becoming a symbol, a story, a myth they can project onto. You become whatever they need you to be in their little worlds, whether it's a hero, a villain, or a rival. And the irony, you don't even have to play along. Just by existing, you've already stolen the spotlight in their minds. And yet, here's the twisted beauty of it all. Being unforgettable means control. They may talk, they may mock, they may try to erase you, but none of it works. Your presence lingers like a fingerprint they can't scrub away. Even when they try to ignore you, the effort itself is proof of how deeply you've marked them. You haunt their thoughts, their conversations, their silence. You're a ghost they can't exorcise, and ghosts are powerful things. The danger, though, is forgetting that this power cuts both ways. Some people drown in the attention, become addicted to it. Start living for the reaction instead of the reality. That's when they lose themselves. That's when the crown they wear turns into a chain. But if you learn to stand apart without needing their applause, if you can remain unforgettable without selling your soul to their opinions, then you've mastered it. Then you've turned the curse into something else entirely. A weapon, a shield, a throne they can't touch. So yes, being unforgettable makes you a target. People will envy, mock, worship, despise. All of it. But it also makes you untouchable in a way. Because once you've carved yourself into their minds, once you've burned your image into their memory, there's nothing they can do to erase you. They can hate you, but they can't forget you. And that's the kind of power that makes the world uneasy. That's the kind of power that keeps you alive long after you've left the room. Power isn't in being seen. Power is in controlling the gaze. Anyone can be looked at. Anyone can draw attention with noise, with chaos, with beauty. That's the easy part. But real power, the kind that unsettles people, the kind that makes them squirm in their seats, is when you dictate how they see you, when you decide the angle, the timing, the lens. When their eyes don't just fall on you by accident, but because you placed yourself exactly where you wanted to be, in exactly the way you wanted them to notice. That's not vanity, that's strategy. Think about it. A spotlight can blind just as much as it can illuminate. If you're careless, it exposes your flaws, your cracks, every little imperfection. But if you're deliberate, it becomes your tool. You step into it when you're ready. You step out when you've made your point. You let them see only what you want them to see. That's how kings are made. Not by being present all the time, but by being unforgettable when it matters. You don't feed the crowd scraps. You starve them until the hunger is unbearable. Then you walk in and give them just a taste. And that taste stays with them longer than a feast ever would.